Hiya. I am back streaming painting myself. So yesterday I sort of did the eyebrows and the eyes and sort of layered the skin with the different highlights. And today my plan is to sort of carry on, work on the beard first, I think. Sort out this whole area, because this whole area is a bit wrong at the moment. Maybe add a bit of depth of colour to the skin, because I'm looking a little bit pale at the moment. My skin is actually quite red in the reference photo. And then, as I said, add the beard, sort out the mouth, and then move on to the hair. I think that's all I'll get done today, probably the beard and the hair. So, guess I'll get started. Now, what am I going to focus on? I'll go over and wash the whole face and add a bit of colour later on, but I'm going to focus on the beard to start with. So in the reference image, I may as well just bring up and show you what the reference image looks like. So it's all quite, I guess, red and white with a bit of browns. So I'm going to certainly use dark brown, a bit of orange, a bit of yellow, a bit of white. I think the base colour is probably very close to the burnt sienna colour. So that would work quite well, as if I'll do a little wash around here with the burnt sienna, and then see what happens from there. Just noticed this brush has got dried acrylic on it. See if I can get that off. So I'm just waiting for a couple of people to join the stream. Said they were coming. Asked me to wait for them. It won't be very long. So I've kind of fixed the YouTube issue that I was having. I say that, it just means I can't stream to Twitch at the same time. Which isn't ideal, because I'd like to stream to both, because I'd like the multi-streaming. My next project, I'm gonna go on Kick as well, and possibly Instagram. So there's a way on this OBS software, apparently you can have a vertical and a horizontal stream at the same time. So I might start playing with that and set up like a vertical stream. I'll do that for whatever next picture is that I'm gonna do. I haven't even thought of that. So I'm going to start off and add the base colour for the beard. And this I'm just going to use a burnt sienna for this. So I'm doing the burnt sienna colour, just as the edge, and this is the base colour for the beard, so anything I put on top of there will work quite nicely. Also need to fade in the highlight, the shade down here, and I'll do that later on. There's a nice gradient between here and here for the shade. So as I say, this is the base colour. It doesn't really matter. It's going to all be covered up pretty much as well. It's just there to sort of help the beard settle on the face. So as I say, I'm just sort of putting the base colour down at the moment. Sorry about that. I think the internet dropped out, but I'm back online, I think. Do ping me a message if you see any problems. So as I say, I'm just doing the sort of background, the base colour for the beard, and then I'm going to sort of paint on top of that with the separate strands, the separate colours, and probably create a stabby motion. So I think as a base colour, this is pretty good for the beard. It's probably quite good for the hair, but I'll do that later on. So I need quite a fine brush again, like I did last time. This is a 3. If I can find my tie. on my brushes. Right, no, that's a 1. Sorry, give me 2 seconds. It's going to run. I think I've left the brushes down where I clean them. Wasn't very Boy Scout of me. I definitely wasn't prepared for this stream if my brushes are downstairs. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to build up the layers. So I've got the base colour, and then I'm going to go a little bit darker now. And I'm going to use burnt umber. That's a really quite a dark brown. Now, because this is going to be the base layer, the darkest layer of the beard, I'm going to work my way up to light because my beard's quite bright. It's got a lot of highlights in it. It's quite gingery. It's quite orangey. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first of all, try and get this brush to work because it's a bit hard. There we go. So I'm going to basically make my beard quite dark. And then I'm going to build up the colours using the different tones. I think I'll change my mind actually of how I'm going to do this. Not sure this brush is ever going to be good again. I'm going to stab the my first layer is going to be stabbed with this colour. So I'm going to create the texture by doing this. Don't know if you can see that. By the way, how is everyone today? So I hope you can see the effects I'm going for with this beard. Sort of stabbing the darker brown on here. In fact, I could probably go a little bit darker, certainly down on the edges. And down here. As I say, this is going to be a lot of layering build up, so I'm going to have to build up a lot of layers for this beard because there's a huge amount of texture going on, as you can see in the reference image. there really is a lot of texture. So it goes from quite dark to quite light, actually. In fact, this is white. The hair's not white, it's just the reflections are really quite white in it. And if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I really, if I see any sort of highlight at all, that's going to go full on white to bring the eye there. So that's really how I work that. So I'm just going over my beard with the darkest colour. Although I'm going to go a little bit darker in a sec, to be honest. So I've put like the very base colour down. That's just so I can always have a colour underneath perhaps the bits that I don't manage to get quite right, I guess. So as you can see, it's completely the wrong colour at the moment. It comes more down like here. I think I may to go and do a skin tone around here. Maybe not, actually. I'm going to get a little bit of Payne's Grey onto the palette, because at the really dark shadowy areas I need to gradient up from here to here, and I might as well do that now rather than later on. Around the top of the thumb as well. And it's the same down here, but not quite as... Oh, it's way too much paint on there. And down here as well, it's very dark. I think that's all the shadowy bits of the beard. I'm going to gradient this bit up because that's quite dark in the painting as well. And this bit as well, so I'm just going to add a bit of texture to this shadow here under the nose. So I hope you can see that the blending is happening now, and I think it's working quite well. So I'm really quite happy with that. And already it just makes me look, just doing that 30-second or, I don't know, 5-minute job has completely changed the tone of the painting. Go and look at the thumbnail. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, changing the tone of the painting. But just doing that, adding the beard, has just completely changed how the painting is looking. Just realised that is completely the wrong colour. So I need to go over the skin again with a bit of a red wash to give myself the rosy cheeks that I have. So now I'm going to work up another layer, so get a little bit lighter, I guess. And what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go with, so I've done burnt sienna. I think yellow ochre is a little bit too much. I'll go with deep yellow ochre, which is something that I don't think I use very often. I think it's slightly deeper than the yellow ochre. Say that, it looks quite bright on the palette though. So let me mix that with a bit of the burnt sienna. So I'm mixing the deep yellow ochre with the burnt sienna, just to go up that one little grade. I don't want to go up the grades too quickly. What this will also do, it will help introduce the sort of reddish gingery tint to my face, even though I'm adding yellow. This yellow and brown will go and work into a sort of ginger orangey colour. Using the stabbing motion again. I'm being quite light this time. And you'll see my beard coming to life with this colour. Just adding these little bits of colour here and there. There is a risk of going a little bit too far here. In terms of covering up the skin that I shouldn't be covering up. Like I've already done that there. Actually, I prefer that covered up because it's covered up over here. So I'm being careful not to put too much of the yellow ochre where there's a shadow, so I don't want it protruding through the shadow. By the way, if you watched my video that came out yesterday in the morning, unfortunately I'm going to have to re-upload it. Something went wrong with the YouTube algorithm. It got a bit confused and it flagged it as something. So I've had to change it and I'll re-upload it tomorrow. But I've just edited today, I finished editing the cat video, the cat painting that I did all last week. So that'll go up on Saturday next week as well. The YouTube short that I did for the cat has hit 1,000 views, which I think is remarkable given the fact I started YouTubing, what, 4 weeks ago? And I haven't released that many. So that's really happy, I'm really happy with that. So yeah, getting 1,000 views is something that I have to be honest, I'm quite surprised by. I wasn't expecting to achieve that level quite yet. So I'm happy with the yellow ochre there, and now I'm going to move up onto probably the actual pure yellow ochre. So that was a yellow ochre mixed with dark, and now I'm going to go with yellow ochre itself. Going to wash the brush. So after I've done this texturing of the beard, I'm going to go back and create individual strokes of the hairs. So it's create at least quite a few so we can really see what's going on. So again, this is all about just creating the base for the beard, so I can start drawing the actual individual hairs over the top. I'm always a bit daunted by like hair, whether it's hair or beards or eyebrows. And the reason being, it's a challenge. It really is a challenge. Just adding the yellow ochre colour onto the eyebrows. I'm not sure I used it yesterday when I really should have done. So yeah, you can see the beard's coming to life a little bit now. Perhaps a little bit too full in places, so I might have to come back and give some skin tone around some of these areas down here to paint over what I've already painted. So these are all the darker tones that I've created now. Now I need to go into lighter tones. So yesterday I did a deep yellow, and I'm going to use this sparingly on the beard. I'm going to make sure there's not a lot on the brush, and I'm just going to go in, do some tapping here and there. So I'm kind of creating an orange beard without actually using orange, because I think that's why my beard actually looks orange. It's because of the different tones that's there. I don't think my actual individual hairs are orange. There's a mixture of brown and yellow. I'm going to get the tan colour. Sorry, the flesh tint colour. Is the next sort of stage later. I guess this is where most of the highlights are going to come from, this flesh tint colour. I'm also doing a little bit of blending here, just to make sure that I'm regaining some of the sort of flesh real estate, which I think I'm kind of lost from when I've overdone the sort of beard painting. Just realised I missed out that section entirely, so I need to go back and do that. So I have overpainted the beard, but that's a good thing in a way, because it means I can come in with this flesh tint and just make it sort of look as though the skin is kind of falling behind. This flesh tint's gone a bit yellow. Yeah, that's better. So now I'm really trying to get the beard a bit lighter. So you can see already there's a bit more definition from where I was before. It's very dramatic music. Dramatic like my painting. See where it's going to get to. So it seems I have a problem at the moment with Twitch. If I stream to Twitch, the YouTube stream doesn't work on the scheduled one, which means a lot of effort and people are missing my streams. So I'm just going to stream on YouTube. I wasn't getting any engagement from Twitch anyway. So I'm just going to stick to YouTube, I think. I might start Kick, because there's quite a lot of artists on Kick. Just looking on Kick the other day, and I was like, oh, there's seems to be a bigger artist base on Kick than there is on YouTube. No, on Twitch. Sorry. I think YouTube's a platform that I really need to focus on, which I will focus on, obviously. So give me feedback as I'm going along. It's really useful to understand what you're thinking of how I'm painting. Really is very motivating. I'm just going to step back and have a look. I think, yeah, that beard looks quite good, to be honest. So I'll come in with some white and sort of detone it, But no, I think that's looking really good. Really is good, looking really good. It's capturing the colours as well. So now I've done that, I'm not going to go and do a bright white highlight on the beard yet. Because what I want to do is I want to use this little brush, start painting some strands of yellow ochre. So there should be some texture going on. What I'm actually going to do, I'm going to hold the palette so I don't have to keep coming back. Anyone do anything exciting today? The weather where I am is absolutely shocking. There's a big storm going on outside. Actually, I think the storm's passed now, but it's still just cold and wet and a little bit windy. So I don't know how well you can see this. I might zoom in, actually. No, I'll zoom in after I've done this and show you what I've done. So I'm painting this yellow ochre at the moment, and I've gone to a few strands of deep yellow. And what I'm doing is I'm adding sort of like the odd little bit of texture around the edges to make it a little bit more real. And I'm leaving quite a lot of paint on these strands to make it look like they're kind of popping out of the painting. Now, even in the sort of dark depths of the shadow, you still see the occasional highlighted bit of hair, which is why I've gone down there. Actually, up there, I might need to paint a few sort of darker strands as well here and there. Just adding a lot of texture around here because there really is quite a lot of texture in the this area of the face. It's quite light texture though. So I don't know if you can see on camera, but this half is done now in terms of the strands, and you can see it's more, certainly from my perspective, it's far more alive than it was just before I started doing this bit. So I'm really trying to get the texture in the beard here. I really am. So actually I think what's going to bring this painting together is the beard. Certainly the face. Understanding what the beard's doing. And I am learning an awful lot about myself in this painting. Like, I knew my beard was sort of gingerish, but I've only just realised why it's ginger. It's not because the actual hair itself, individual strands are ginger. It's because I seem to have a variety of colours inside the hair. And it is sort of multicoloured. I've never realised that before. I've got really dark strands, and I've got really light strands. And they're all quite reflective. They reflect the light really well. So I find that quite interesting. That's something I've never realised before. Hey, everyone who's just joined. Hope you're having a nice day. Miserable weather in the UK. So hopefully this sort of takes you away and you sort of enjoy what's going on. Have it on in the background, do what you're doing. Maybe you're putting up the Christmas tree or something. We put a few yellow strands on, but not very many. I'm gonna sort of So yellow is really there to just sort of create the occasional highlight, and then I'll finish off with white after I've done the yellow. So I'll probably do a few that are flesh tint strands. Obviously yellow isn't a very realistic colour for a beard. I guess blonde, but you don't really get bright yellow. Certainly more yellow on the left hand side than there is on the right hand side of the painting. So, I think that's the yellow done. I'm going to move on to flesh tint now. Close enough to white. So I'm kind of using the flesh tint to sort of show the gaps of where the hair is, rather than actually create hair itself. So you can sort of see through the beard. I think that's going to add another depth that I haven't quite got yet. So you can see I'm sort of adding the patchiness in, which there is quite a lot of patchiness in my beard. I'm using my finger a lot to like smudge it out as well, because I don't want it full on in your face. So especially around here there's a lot of patchiness. And I think as soon as I start hitting up the white, it's really going to bring out the colour, sort of bring out the beard itself. I know it's probably isn't very riveting to watch this, but it's getting there. It certainly is getting there. And now I think it's time for the white to really bring out the highlights of the beard. So I'm in two minds. Do I use a paint pen? I probably will use a paint pen, actually. Why not? Let's see what the paint pen looks like. There's a lot more highlights on this side of the face than there is on the other side. So yeah, the paint pen is really helping here, to be honest. So it's adding the depth to the beard, which perhaps something that might be slightly more difficult by using an actual brush. So this bit here is very, very sort of wispy white hair, or very light blonde hair. So I'm just going to whack on the paint pen under there. And also there's quite a few highlights just around here. The highlights drop off as we go over here, so I'll do far less. I might do I might buy some paint pens and do an entire portrait or painting in paint pens, just to see what it looks like, just to see if that's a nice medium to work with. It is really rather quick to do it. Or just buy a bunch of selection of different colours so I can add different colours of texture and stuff using paint pens. I do like paint pens. I really think they are... well, A, they make life a lot easier, but B, they're so accurate. So I'm really impressed with that beard. I think it looks really lifelike. I think it looks magic. I'm not really going for photorealism in this painting, but I seem to have almost achieved it with the beard, certainly from a distance. Actually, the whole face looks pretty realistic. It's not really something that I was necessarily going for. But as I say, I seem to have achieved it, so it's pretty cool. A few wispy bits around here. Maybe I should use the paint pen for the inside of the glasses. That would have been much better than what I've done. Can really highlight the glasses there and make it far more accurate. Like here. Big highlight on the top there. Here. Down here. See, I think that's working really well. I think that's quite a good... I think it really is quite a good way of using these. I'm really quite happy with how that's sort of come along, how the beard has worked. I don't think there's much more that I need to do with the beard. I do think I need to do things like lighten this area up, lighten this area up. I'm spraying the leaky paint pen. This is one of the issues, it leaks everywhere. I don't know whether it's all paint pens or whether it's just this one. Just adding a bit of a highlight down there, because there's a highlight in the picture here. I'll probably come along and fill that in with the flesh tint later on. So there you go. That's my beard. And that works quite well. I'm going to make that cheek a bit rosier. I'm probably going to make up here a little bit rosier. Maybe under the eyes as well. So I'm going to do that really quickly. I'm going to get some magenta. Just mix it in. I'll mix it in with a paint pen actually, why not? Get some flesh tint on there as well. It needs a bit more white. Magenta goes a long way by the look of it. So I'm just going to dab a little bit on, then sort of use my finger to mix it in. I think my cheeks are a little bit more rosy than what I gave credit for. I don't really like that colour. Let's retry it with a bit of flesh included. It's a bit more subtle. The edges of the nose a bit more skin tone rather than white. So I think that adds a bit of vibrancy. Might need to be a bit more reddish. Let me get a tiny bit of crimson and see if I can put a little bit of a red wash over the top. Get some white as well. Get a tiny bit of crimson to colour that white. That's a bit more. Some of the flesh. And I need to go through and create the highlight again that was there. I just lost the definition through having too much white in there. And actually I prefer this colour that I've just created to what I had before. I think that brings a little bit more life, having those rosy cheeks. I'll obviously put some white in it to soften it. I'm making the shadows a bit more rosy as well. And under the nose. I think that's given me a lot more health. It was a bit plain and white and boring, but now I've managed to give myself a bit of healthier glow. Just adding a bit of the red in there. I may have gone a bit too far, but I'll soften it with the white later on. Up here too, needs a bit of rosiness. So I'm just using a sort of red crimsony colour with water. It's majority of water, and what I'm doing is putting this red wash over it. So it's a very subtle colour that I'm adding to the top, this layer, top layer. And I think what it's doing is it's helping bring out certain areas of the skin. There's a little bit that needs to add in there. Let me know what you think, if you think I've gone a bit too far with the red. But I certainly think that's really has created a much more kind of realistic, I guess. Add a bit to the edge of the shadow, get my finger out, rub it in. I'll do the same down here as well. Get a touch of water to water this down a little bit. And I think that's just actually brought my whole mouth alive, just doing that and that. This really sort of dark reddish movement around here. Actually, my top lip is probably a similar sort of dark crimsony colour there. That settles down into down here, where it's also a bit red. It's only got a slight tone of red down here. So I think that's really brought up my lip now, the bottom of my lip. I think the top is probably a bit too much. So I'll add a tiny bit of flesh tint to my brush and just go over it a little bit. Just mix it in what's on the canvas rather than on the palette. So mix in the flesh tint to the top of the lip. I think that works really rather well. I really do like that. Grab a bit of white. Bring the shadow up a little bit. No, sorry, not the shadow, the highlight. Create a very straight highlight there. A little bit more. And using my little brush, I'm going to try and encourage a bit of a gap between my two lips here. That bit's wrong. That bit is very wrong. So I'm going to get some flesh tint and fix that bit. So all I'm going to do is just come down here. So I'll just fix that, and then I'm going to have to paint over that with the beard later on. I think that's better. I'm sure my lip actually comes that deep, so let me just do this. Definitely a highlight there as well. So let me try and grab a little bit of the white here. Just being very delicate with this lip, trying to make it look alive. Stepping back as I do it. And over here, there's no real obvious distinction between skin and lip, which is fine, so I can sort of make that happen with the paint. going to come in and paint over the flesh tint that I just did here, just to make sure there's no obvious fading of mistake, which I did. I've got the burnt sienna or raw umber or whatever it was in the yellow ochre in now. Then I finished off with some white. I think that's blended in quite nicely now. So yeah, I think the lip works a lot better than it did. I think that's really working. I love that little bit of highlight there. In fact, the highlight needs to be extended all the way along. So I'll just grab the paint pen to do that. It comes up in between some of the hairs as well. I'm now going to add the highlight to the top of the cheeks. Blend it in a bit more than what they are because they're quite flat at the moment. They're quite flat and rosy. I'll just blend that in as it comes down. It comes also over here, this much lighter as well. Got a mole there and a mole there, which I'll do later on if I remember. May as well make it completely accurate. I don't necessarily need it to be photorealistic, I just want it to be really quite I just want it to sort of look like me and represent me. I don't want it to be photorealistic necessarily. I don't mind if it does become a bit photorealistic. I don't ever paint with the aim to be photorealistic, to be honest. It's not really my style. I think the cheeks are really quite nice now. So I'm pretty happy with the whole face now. I'm just looking at it on the computer screen. The colours are slightly different in reality. I think possibly on the computer screen they're a bit more intense. I've actually got it on my phone as well, and the phone is really quite showing the pink is very pink. But actually in reality it's much softer. I do like the face. I think it's quite realistic. I think it looks really good. I like the way the glasses are sort of sitting on my face. It looks a bit quirky. I'm not sure the glasses are even, to be honest. I think they're close enough to be even, to be honest. So, what's time? 5:15. I've been going an hour and a quarter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a 5 to 10 minute break, and then I'm going to do the hair, and that'll be it for today. The next stream I'll do the hoodie, which won't take very long, and then the hand, which will probably take forever because I'm not very good at hands. So yeah, I'll have a 5-minute break. Need to refresh myself. I'll wash my palette. I can start again. And yeah, see you in sort of 5 minutes. Hello. I am back. I should have put my microphone on before I came back, but I am now back. So, there's me. Painted me quite well. I might get rid of the "Be Right Back" sign actually, because you know what? I think people leave. So what I should do is I'll change Ollie Cam to say "Be Right Back," but leave all the other cameras on. I think that's what I'll do. Anyway, how is everyone? Ready and raring to go again? Ready to watch me do my hair? Let's get my hair on the screen. So again, the base colour of my hair is quite a dark colour. There's a lot of highlights, but it's a dark colour. So I'm talking around here. See my mouse if I do this? You can. So I'm talking around here, really dark colours. So I'm actually going to start off with the dark tones again. Basically make my hair really dark, like I did with the beard. And then sort of grow to a lighter colour. I don't have a palette. I do have a palette. Made a right mess today. So I'm going to use a different technique. I'm not going to use the stabbing method for the hair because it's more flowing. My hair is a total mess, by the way. So yeah, I need to go through and create the layers in the hair, the really, really cool, quite awesome layers. Now, I always find hair a bit daunting to do, but I always seem to succeed quite well, so yeah. I just spilled all my paints everywhere. Mind me while I tidy up. So what colours am I going to use for the hair? Use burnt sienna. I am going to use, obviously, white. Quite a lot of yellow ochre, because that's the blonde colour. Bit of Payne's Grey for the shadows. What other colours am I going to use? Am I going to use my golden deep yellow? I might do. I'm not going to put any on the palette in case I don't. I think those are the 5 main colours I'm going to use. The base colour's going to be burnt sienna, and I'm just going to whack that on all over literally all over the hair. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of go ahead and add the tones. For these dark bits, I'll probably put some Payne's Grey in. And the light bits will go with yellow ochre. And the really light bits, I'll do a white wash. Sorry, 2 seconds. Just messaging someone. So I'm going to start off with the burnt sienna. It's really quite a nice brown, the burnt sienna. Being very messy today with the way I'm doing things. Going with the flow today. So as I say, I'm going to start off with the burnt sienna and just basically go throughout my whole hair, make the burnt sienna base. Now what I'm going to try and do is the technique I quite often use, is I'm trying to create the brush strokes the direction of my hair, the hair's going, for two reasons. One, I know which way my hair's going, and two, it actually creates the texture of the hairs. My reference image tablet has just died, so might have to make it up as I go along, or just use the reference image on the computer. So my hair's going to look sort of very brown, and then it's going to go lighter. It's going to go lighter very quickly. What amazes me about streaming, by the way, is the sheer number of people that continue to watch my streams after they're recorded. There's loads of people who just click on them to have a quick watch. Sorry, I need my I need the tablet. I'll just plug it in with one of these power bank. So yeah, there's quite a lot of people who watch my streams after they're sort of saved onto YouTube after the fact. And I guess people probably use them to fall asleep too. It's the kind of thing that I tend to use YouTube for. So I'm just painting on the burnt sienna of my hair. Looks very weird at the moment. But when the highlights start coming, I think it will look pretty cool, to be honest. I'm just doing the base colour here for the hair. And what's happening is I'm just going to use this brush, the sort of the cider, because this brush is it's quite wide but also quite narrow. So it's sort of a long flat brush. I'm going to use the flat ends to create the sort of shadowy areas of the hair. And then very quickly, once I start doing this, you'll see the layers being built up for the hair. Currently it's completely the wrong colour, it looks terrible. But very soon it'll start looking a little bit more like the beard. The colours I've managed to capture with the beard. So do bear with me. This is just the base colour. So that's the base colour done. I'm now going to grab the Payne's Grey and really paint the really dark areas around here and down here and around this side. And then I'll start building up the colour. I'm not going to bother with the... I'm going to mix it slightly so it's not quite as dark as it is. I guess the darker colours are sort of in the middle here. There's some really nice layering going on. So a lot of this mixing is going to happen on the canvas because the paint is still wet. Some dark around there. And all the way down here it's quite dark. With some really sort of accentuated highlights going on. So you just start off with the really dark colours and then just work up, I guess. It's exactly what I tend to do when I paint. So another dark shadow. There's a few dark shadows everywhere, so I'm just going to give me the option to be able to include these shadows just by creating this really dark areas of the... creating the really dark areas and then being able to work on top of it. Something's going on here. That something is, this needs to come out further. So I am always a bit daunted by hair. I don't really, it's quite scary to do. So I think the next layer to do is probably the yellow ochre. So the interesting thing about yellow ochre is that it looks really bright on the palette, but when you paint it, it just changes colour completely. I'm just going to go on here and create the blonde highlights everywhere. See what I mean? It's not really making that much colour difference. Yeah, it does look quite bright on the palette. It's almost as if the coverage is pretty poor. It's interesting, I should have gone straight up there. That bit of hair doesn't exist. And I think if I keep that bit here, probably going to look a little bit like a wig. So I'll have to change that. Now this is where I really need to be careful about which direction my hair's going. Where the bits are coming out of. So here the bits are coming out of this area. The idea here is really to cover up everywhere where there's the burnt sienna colour. Just have it sort of poking through in places. So you can have that texture and layered effect, which is what I'm trying to go for with hair, because hair is so layered. It's not just a single colour, it's just very, very layered. There's a lot more paint on there. You can spend forever on hair if you want, but it doesn't need to be. It can be pretty rough and then just go in with the highlights later on. Got a little bit too much paint on there, but we can rescue that, no problem. I'm getting the nice blonde colour of my hair now. So that's like the base of the hair. So I'm happy with that. I now need to focus on the details, and I'm going to carry on with the details, and the details are going to be using the small brush. There's a few areas of Payne's grey that I'm going to paint, and one of them is just down here. Maybe not completely Payne's grey. So the yellow ochre is still quite wet, so it has its advantages but also has its disadvantages. It's quite difficult to paint on wet paint. Quite big dark shadow here. need to be careful with that because I'm going to spoil the skin if I keep leaning the edge of my palm against it. So you can see the texture building up very slowly. But we'll get there eventually. So I'm probably going to use a bit of beige on this. Sort of define where my strands are going. Maybe not beige, maybe... yeah, probably beige to be honest. So watch out for the video that's going to be released tomorrow. If you haven't watched my short on the cat, have a look for that. That's going. That's hit 1,000 views, so I'm really, really happy with that. I mean, it's phenomenal, really, if you think about it. Well, more to the point, actually, the views isn't phenomenal. It's the fact that 50% of people that see it in their feeds decide to watch it. I think that's what's really surprised me, is the number of people who have seen it. So only about 2,000 people have seen it in their feeds, but yet 1,000 of them have decided, you know what, I'm going to watch that. So that's what I really like about the content, the success of it. It's not the fact that 25,000 people have seen YouTube has decided to show a video in their feeds, and then 25,000, then 1,000 people of them have decided to watch. It's the fact that only 2,000 people have seen it in their feed, and yet getting that level of engagement for all their video. Maybe it's the subject, maybe it's because it's a cat. Cat videos most obviously are very popular on YouTube. But what is slightly irritating, even though you get that engagement, you're not getting that many subscribers. Like, shorts don't give you subscribers. It's the videos that give you subscribers. Same as streaming. Nobody comes to watch a stream that they don't know who's on it. So you'll never get new subscribers from streams, but you will get subscribers from videos who will then come and watch your streams. My computer just beeped, which is always worrying when you're streaming. Sometimes it says, oh, your stream's lost connection, when it hasn't. Or sometimes it says, your stream's lost connection, and it has. You're like, well, thanks for the information, now tell me how to fix it. So my hair's very scruffy, and I did that deliberately for this photo. My hair's quite scruffy anyway. I never do anything with it. And as I say, that's quite deliberate for this photo because I think it adds a bit of texture which I wouldn't otherwise have been able to do. So I've got the strands sort of sticking out all over the place, especially up here. So that's what I'm painting in right now. And this really fine brush. Oops. So yeah, you can see all the all coming together. And obviously I'll go, once it's a little bit drier, I'll go and add all the highlights and stuff. So I'll do the highlights in beige, I think, and then I'll do the very sort of thin pen highlights, and they'll be in a more of a, they'll just be in white, I think. I'll probably use a white paint pen for that. So what am I learning about the hair of my hair? Very, very textured. It also looks a bit greasy in this photo. It also takes a blooming long time to paint hair. Toning down my eyebrows a bit. Not that happy with the eyebrows that I painted. The hair is always a lot denser closer to the where the hairline is, so that's why I'm going back and redoing that. So I'm going to find quite a stiff brush to do the highlights, and what that should do is create a nice texture so it look like there's each individual strand of hair. I think I know which brush I'm going to use. I think it's looking pretty good though, this painting. me know what you think, if you agree or if you disagree. I think it looks alright. I can't really complain about that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my burnt sienna. Use a bit of water to wake it up a bit. I'm going to create more hair around here with the burnt sienna. Just need that little bit of texture here. Different colours and stuff. I'll obviously come back and do the same with the white and stuff. I think this brush has definitely passed its best now. Right, so I'm happy with that. I'm now going to go on and get some of the soft beige colour, which is this one. I'm going to whack a bit of paint down here. So it's kind of like a slightly off-white. That is an off-white. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a stiff brush. This one is very stiff. Or this one. I think I'll use this one actually. And I'm going to paint just the ends of the brush, get the paint on the ends of the brush, dab it away a bit, and then see if I can, this might not work, but see if I can sort of get strands of hair going along here. It's not working quite as well as I hoped. And what I'm trying to do is try and get the different layers of the hair that I've got going on. Don't know if you can see that what's happening there on the... So I'm trying to get the different layers going on here. can certainly see what the sort of technique I'm going for here, and I'll go over it again. This is just the first layer of the highlights. I think that looks alright, to be honest. It's a bit weird up here, to be honest, but I'll just soften it to be honest. Softening at the top. I need to go and sort of do the background again, to be honest. Maybe I don't know. Softening the edges slightly. I may have just made a mess at the edges. That's not a problem. I can just go back and do the background and then redo the edges later on if it doesn't look very good. So I think I've got the general form here. The highlights are in the right place. Got the texture going up here. And now what I really need to do is I need to paint on both the dark and the very light bits. So now I'm going to go back and redo some dark bits. So I need a bit more burnt sienna on the palette. Burnt sienna might not actually be dark enough. Let's get a bit of burnt sienna and burnt umber together. Start adding in that light texture here. This is all coming out from the parting joint, where my hair parts. So I'm getting that texture back in where I've just lost using the highlight there. And I'll come back with the beige and then create the further texture on top of the dark that I'm painting. I may not have got this right the first time here. That's fine. We'll just go back and redo it. Keep doing it until it looks good. Never a failure. Need a lot of texture on this hair though. I think the left-hand side looks a lot better now. I think I might start streaming on Instagram if I can work out how, or maybe TikTok actually. So I'll do vertical format as well as the horizontal format on the same stream because I think my software allows me to do that. Just get different audience reach. Although saying that, if you stream from a phone onto TikTok, apparently it gets a lot more reach than if you do it from a computer. So I might have to set up a phone. Which is fine. I've got a spare. I don't really have a spare phone, but I can probably quite easily get a cheap spare phone which will upload a reasonable enough video. I can stream directly from TikTok and then I can use my computer as a mod to moderate the stream. But I hope you're seeing the texture that I'm building up now. Loosen it up a bit with water. I have to have two microphones if I stream from the phone, come to think of it. Not sure I want to go down that route. I'll just stream from OBS and see what happens. So I think, as I say, I think you can stream both vertical and horizontal at the same time using Streamlabs. Although they need to sort out my current issue with not being able to stream to YouTube and other platforms at the same time. Hair on this side of the head is a lot darker because of the shadow. So I've already captured that to some extent, but I'm going to have to do a lot more of the detailed work down here. I think there's enough yellow in this hair. So I will have to go in. I don't think yellow ochre is necessarily going to do it for me. Maybe it will. Maybe I'll do the next layer as yellow ochre and then finish off with the... So I will do the next layer as yellow ochre and then go and see if I need to add yellow. At the end of my playlist. Yeah. Grab some more music. Listen to this and see what it sounds like. I think maybe the yellow ochre is bringing that colour back in. Yellow ochre is basically blonde. I would quite like to have like a lighter yellow ochre. Not just a diluted with white, but just a lighter colour. Sort of a light mustard colour. Sort of between maybe cadmium yellow and yellow ochre. Somewhere between it. I know what you're going to say, just mix the colour. Who has time for that? Who has time to mix colours? Use the flat colour on the canvas and then I'll be fine. Currently I look like I've got grey hair. So I'm trying to add that colour back in at the moment. I think I'm getting that colour back in using the yellow ochre. So that's working really quite nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to redo the background. And then I'm going to sort of do the frilly bits at the edge again, I think. So the background was just tan with, flesh tone with white, sort of a white with a little bit of flesh tone. I'm adding the sort of yellowy, reddy colour back into my hair, and I think it's working quite well. Softening the sort of beige that I did for the highlights. I think that's the order I had to do it in, to be honest. I don't think it's that I necessarily did anything wrong by adding the beige in, but the colour needs to come through. The only way you're going to add the colour is if you will paint on top of the highlights, because the highlights are almost a base, not a top in this painting. So do tell me what you think of my hair, like on the painting, not in real life. I know my hair is awful. I know it's all scruffy and thick, and I can't be bothered, mate, with it. Actually, I quite like my hair. I like the fact it's sort of scruffy and thick and sort of looks like it's been dragged through a hedge backwards. I think it's kind of rustic. I think the hair's looking pretty good, to be honest. That's cool. So now I'm ready to just bit of yellow ochre here. I'm ready to use the beige for the highlights. Ooh, way too much there. Apparently we listen to religious songs. So I say I just play playlists that other people have chosen. I don't really focus on what I'm choosing. Maybe I will one day. Maybe I'll get volunteers to help me create my playlist for the streams. Or if I ever start making loads of money from YouTube, I might pay them. I think adding this soft beige colour as strands of hair is really working nicely, actually. I really do think that hair is coming alive a little bit here. I think I need to sort out the ends of these hairs with a bit of flesh tone, just to make sure that I'm not losing definition of the skin here especially, but everywhere. Be a bit more careful with what it's looking like. I think that's looking pretty good, to be honest. I keep looking at this screen and the glasses look wonky. But if I do that and that, they're the same size. If I do that and that, they're the same size. So I'm a bit like, I don't really know what's going on here. They're all the correct sizes, so I'm confused. But it only looks like that on the screen. When I'm looking at the painting, it looks perfect. Maybe it's because the camera's coming in at a slight angle. This is why I wear old stuff. I've apparently managed to paint myself. When I go to Kenya in January, my plan is I will sort of get some printed hoodies. So you know the Ollie the Artful text that I've got, the yellow sort of swirliness. I'll print maybe 4 or 5 of them and start painting in them. Give them to my friends. Never know, people might start buying them as stash. So I think that's the beige done. Not risk going too far again, as always. Need to focus on the real areas of highlight, which is here, down here, here, it's generally up here, so I'll do a little bit more up here. That works quite nicely. I'm just going to get my white paint pen, get the small nib, start drawing highlights. That's not going to work right now. Paint's a bit wet. Not many, just highlights to help the eye move. I think I'm going to give up on that because it's not really working very well. So I need to add the shadows and stuff around there. Actually, I'll do that now, why not? On the forehead. So I'll get some magenta. Get some white. And I'll get some flesh tone. Mix them together and sort of get the correct spaces around there. I'm just making sure that there's clear definition of where the hair strands are. Random playlist this. I think the playlist is called Laid Back. Just gonna add a bit of yellow ochre to my strands of hair coming down here so they don't look grey, which they currently do. I don't think I've got any grey hairs yet. I know I've given people a few. Quite difficult to tell when you've got really bright blonde hair or strawberry blonde hair. I don't think it's that easy to tell if you've got grey hair or not. I don't know why on camera that bit looks so weird. Let's make it a little bit pinker. So it looks a bit weird. Right, so I'm going to paint on the shadows. The shadows are really quite red. They're sort of bringing out my darker than that, I think. Maybe I'll get a bit of Payne's grey in there. Grab the crimson. Grab some flesh tone. Almost looks a little bit purpley. Just going to put a faint shadow underneath where the hair is coming down and touching my face. I think doing a self-portrait is really quite therapeutic because you're not under any pressure to make it look good because it doesn't really matter. Secondly, it's, as I said before, you do learn a lot about yourself. You do kind of understand areas of your body that you don't really or your face in this case, that you just don't really recognise. Right, need to get some white on there. Some really bright highlights around there and around here. So I'll just get the white on. Very pure white area here. I wonder if I've got this side of the face wrong, that's why I'm getting confused. So I've just painted a little bit of a white line there, that's where the hair should come. That's why it's looking a bit weird, I think. I'm just being too much of a perfectionist. Maybe the beard comes in a bit. I'm screwing up my face in the photo, so maybe that's why. I think I'm pretty much done for today. I'm going to quickly redo the background. Quickly just add a little bit of texture up here, just to sort of imitate there's a bit of sweat going on. That works quite well actually. Right, background. So it's white and a tiny bit of tan. Flesh tint, sorry, not tan. Keep saying tan. So let's get the white on. Let's see if that's enough going on there. I'll get a bigger brush like I did before, so I can get the same sort of, a bit more than that I think. That's about the right colour, to be honest. As I say, I just gotta paint over the edges, so I'll redo that probably next time. If I feel the painting really needs it, I'll redo the strands. Rub that bit out that I've overgone there. Actually, maybe painting over it, but allowing them to sort of poke through is the right way to go about this. Like I'm kind of doing here, just by rubbing it in. I love when art sort of gives you a happy coincidence and a happy accident. What I've definitely got here. So I've softened the edge of the hair, painting all the strands over. By painting them over and then rubbing them out. Right mess there. Emergency bit of paper towel. So what I was saying was, there's my brush. By painting over the background and keeping the, and then sort of rubbing the paint off, it makes those hairs a little bit less obvious. The ones that I thought were a bit too in your face, it just looked a bit weird. So just using the paper towel to sort of thin the paint. I think what that does is it allows your hair, or my hair, sorry, sort of go into the background. Hello everyone who's just joined. Thank you, John, I really appreciate that message. I don't know how long that's been there. It usually comes in at the top. For some reason it's coming at the bottom, so I missed it. Sorry. I don't like YouTube at the moment. I say that. I think YouTube's fantastic. I think the platform has changed the way they're using stuff and everything's a bit changed. So there we go. That's my hair, I think, finished now. I want to add some white. Maybe. I think that needs a bit of white there. Sorry, completely changing the area of the painting I'm working on. So yeah, that's my face and hair done pretty much. I think the hair's got some quite nice texture going on. Let me just add a few strands of white. I don't want to use the paint pen, to be honest, but it doesn't seem to be wanting to play ball. See if it's playing ball now. No. I do have another paint pen. I could just open a new one. Yeah, I think that nib's had enough. Let's see if this one's going to behave itself a little bit more. Yeah, it's working quite nicely, this. I'm just going to add a few highlights, not very many. Just to show you where the highlights are. I think that's pretty much me done for today, to be honest. And on Tuesday, which I think is when our next stream, I'll have a go at the jumper, which won't take very long to get all the shades and all the textures in. And then I'll have a go at the hand, which will take me quite a while because I'm not very good at hands. I'm definitely learning that technique. Areas of really quite strong highlights, just like here, all the way at the top here. Yeah, I think that's probably me done for the day. So I think one more stream, possibly two, depending on how I handle the hand. If it gets a bit out of control, it might be 2 streams. And that'll be me done. So awesome. Well done, guys. Thank you for staying with me. And I'll see you on, I believe, Tuesday. No, I can't. I'm not here Tuesday. So it'll have to be tomorrow. Okay, so I'll have to stream tomorrow. I just noticed I completely missed a bit. So yeah, it'll have to be tomorrow. I'm not here Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know if I'll stream on Thursday. But and I haven't decided what I'm going to paint next. So if you got any ideas, let me know. I think it'll be an animal. I'm going to try and swap between portraits and animals. I seem to get better engagement with animals because I think there's a lot of animal lovers and they sort of appreciate that sort of painting a little bit more, perhaps. And obviously this is just a self-portrait. So, yeah. All right, thanks very much. I really appreciate the engagement today. I'm quite tired. I've been painting for 3 hours, basically. Let me know what you think. And, yeah, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. All right, have a great night, everyone, and sleep well.